Well, welcome to my YouTube channel where success and freedom lives. Hey, it's Gary Cox, and I want to share with you today some strategies that I was able to learn, gather to help me grow my success. I started my first business at 11, my second business at 15 years old, and shortly after that I was making over $100,000 a year. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that were really vital to my success. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you subscribe. We'd certainly appreciate that due to the fact that we were hacked, I don't know, a number of months ago. So we're kind of like starting from scratch. So if you haven't been here before, subscribe and we'll get to hang and connect some more. I'd love to see your comments as well because I love to try to respond to as many of them as I personally can. So yeah, what the advantages that I had when I was so young to do so well is I was very blessed as a teenager to have 2 millionaire mentors and later a billionaire mentor. And that was a pivotal change in my life. So when you hear people say that proximity is power, there is no question about that. And if you're able to take some notes down, that's one of the first things I would suggest you write down. Proximity is power. What does that mean? That means by either you or me or someone being in somebody else's proximity, that can give you power. Now it can be worse for you too, right? Well, like look at people who do drugs and who do, like smoke cigarettes. Most people just don't wake up one day and say, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and decide to do drugs. Or you know what? I'm going to decide to just become an alcoholic. What happens is they become a person who gets in the proximity of people, and what happens, they create some of those behaviors. So if we create behaviors that are also negative by being in the proximity of people, imagine what the reverse would be if we had the proximity to be in the proximity of very successful people, whether it be financially successful, emotionally successful in relationships or marriage. So for me, the proximity was power because I got to hang around millionaires as a teenager and billionaires. So keep in mind, when you think of proximity, the whole idea of proximity is to get in with people who think differently than you are, presently the way you're thinking. I think of the word insular, that's I-N-S-U-L-A-R, for those of you who are not great spellers like myself, insular. We all have a tendency to have what I refer to as insular thinking. Insular comes from the Latin word meaning isle or island, meaning to isolate. So if we're insular in our thinking and we isolate our thinking, the problem that we're going to have is we're going to be thinking the same stuff all the time, and if it's nothing that's going to create us more success, then we're just going to be stagnant. We're going to be like the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting what? Different results. So when we get out of our insular thinking, and that's what being around millionaire mentors gave me, that's what being around a billionaire mentor gave me. It got me out of my insular thinking. See, all of us are insular to some degree or isolated in our own thinking, because think about it. Who influences you the most? You may have heard me say this before. Who influences you the most? The person that influences you the most is who? Is you. There's nobody around you more than you. So your thinking is what is going on in your head all of the time. And if your thinking is like terrible, or it's sucky, or woe is me, or I can never succeed, or everything I try fails, well, you're going to be repeating that over and over and over. But now, let's say for argument's sake, we have somebody that has that kind of thinking. You have that type of thinking, and you hang around somebody like me, you hang around somebody like me long enough, that thinking is going to change. So when I hung around millionaires when I was a teenager, when I got to hang around a billionaire, I got to see things differently because I was in their proximity. So what are some of the things that I learned while in their proximity? Because again, proximity is power. In fact, I'm actually here at Sandals. Can you see it? No, it doesn't say Sandals back there. I'm actually here at Sandals Resorts in the Bahamas. And here at Sandals, I actually have a mastermind program. It's where I fly everybody in the jet. I leave from Florida. We bring everybody here. It's a one-day mastermind, and it puts people in the proximity of me and my team, and we spend the entire day getting them to stretch the way they do business, create marketing strategies that can help them do a year's worth of income literally in one day or one event. So $50,000 in a day, $100,000 in a day, or in an event. And the only way people can do that is by being in the proximity of people who are already doing that. So by being in the proximity of a billionaire, Oh my goodness, the thinking of a billionaire compared to a person who is not a billionaire or a person who trades time for money. That's one of the biggest things, by the way. If you're trading time for money, that keeps you even at a middle class level. It can keep you at an upper class level. I mean, there's lawyers, they have what they call billable hours, right? Billable hours means how many hours did you get to bill people this week. So what they're still doing, whether it's $100 an hour, $500 an hour, $20 an hour, you're still trading time for money. So by being in the proximity of people who don't trade time for money. See, I would rather, instead of trading time for money, I figure out, okay, if I can do one event and we could make $100,000 or $500,000, I can just do one event and have that kind of income, as opposed to doing 9 to 5 mentality, thinking, well, you know, imagine if you made $20 an hour and you wanted to get a smartphone. That's going to take you what? That's $1,000 plus phone. It's going to take you 50 hours. I got to work 50 hours to go ahead and just get a phone, right? It's crazy. And then on top of that, you get the bill. And then now you got to work another 5 hours if you got a $100 bill a month. So one of the things that I learned by being in the proximity of billionaires and millionaires, especially the billionaire, is he focuses on doing what he does at the very best. What a lot of entrepreneurs do, unfortunately, is when most entrepreneurs get started in business, they create really bad habits. And here's probably one of the worst habits. One of the worst habits is, for most people who start a business, they end up starting off with a lot more time than capital, right? So if we have more time than we have money to put in the business, the whole idea is to put in a lot of time to create more sales, to create a bigger business, so eventually we can have other people do it. Well, what do the things that we, can delegate? But the problem with that is, when you get started early in your business, is you end up starting with so many hats. And then if you're not careful, you'll create the mentality like, well, if you want it done right, do it yourself. There's no possible way my mentor could be a billionaire if he had the mentality, if you want it done right, do it yourself. So when you grow your business to a level, by hanging around people, by being in their proximity, you realize that, wait a minute, I used to believe, I still think that, if I want it done right, do it myself. Well, when you get out of that thinking, there's also some consequences. What are some of the consequences? Some of the consequences are the people who you bring in, that you have delegated information to or tasks to, they're going to what? They're going to screw up. But you can either do everything yourself constantly and stay the same, or you can grow bigger, help more people by creating more jobs, and understand that they're going to screw up, and deal with it. Also, by understanding and not micromanaging, you'll realize that you probably have to do a better job hiring people so you can grow your business. These are just some of the things, but the ultimate thing is, make sure you are in the proximity of really amazing people so you can take your life and your business to another level. And that's why we do what we do. We're all about showing people how to have more success and more freedom in life. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Love to see your comments below. I'm out of here, and remember, don't let others rent space in your head. Have a blessed day from the Bahamas.